everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Just for Fun Games. I'm your best friend, Azzy, and that's my best friend, Roy.
We're best friends?
Yes, the best of friends. It's been so much fun together rowing boats down rivers.
I gotta put that clip somewhere in here.
All right. Well, we are here today to talk about Justice League, the Snyder Cut. And we promised that this is not going to be 4 hours long, unlike some things. So let's try and do our best to give our impressions without any kind of spoilers, because it's a 4 hour long movie. People are probably watching it in parts if they haven't already seen it, because we're late.
I wasn't late.
And
yeah,
then
we're late on the review, but
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Okay.
I was the late one, but and then we can jump into spoilers real quick. So, without giving anything away, it does a much better job building out Barry Allen, the Flash, building out Cyborg, even giving some more moments to Aquaman, whose name I've forgotten.
Jason Momoa, or
no, that's the actor. I'm talking about like Aquaman's human name, but
Arthur Curry.
Yeah, but did it need to be 4 hours long? No.
Yes,
there's
it
a
did.
lot.
Yes, it
no,
did.
it didn't.
No. I'll cut you right there, because it was. I mentioned this to the guys at my comic shop. I was like, if you were to tell me what happened in the original release of Justice League, I couldn't tell you, because you know what I did when we went to go see the first Justice League. I still can't remember what I saw. So watching this, I watched the original theatrical release before watching the Snyder Cut, and yeah, this was way better than what we originally got. Like you said, did it need to be 4 hours? Not necessarily. Some of the moments where, they were slowing down time and slow motion scenes, they could have kind of trimmed those out a bit. But Zack Snyder does what he does best, and that's tell a story. I mean, let your characters develop a little bit more, because because I wanted to do this as a standalone review and not on the podcast. I had a script written. I was like, I'm not going to touch this. We're going to just do a joint thing about the Justice League. And like the Flash and Cyborg in the original release, I could care less about them. I felt like they were just characters with powers that it was like, hey man, you got powers? You got powers too? Oh shit, let's join the team. And that's what it was for me.
So the actor who portrayed Cyborg, Ray Fisher, prior to the Snyder Cut going live, he went public about his very contested relationship with Joss Whedon and with the executive producer for the Justice League movie. And of course, we're not there, and so we really can only go by their words. But if anything were to convince someone who wanted to stay on the sidelines of that whole drama that Ray was telling the truth, that obviously there must have been something going on, is how much was just left on the cutting room floor from the theatrical cut and the Snyder Cut, because it's like the amount that Cyborg is built up, it's like it felt on purpose what happened to him in the theatrical cut. Then it's like, how could you cut all this?
Yeah, I mean, because the original cut of the movie left so many holes open. You're like, well, how does Aquaman get this and that? You see that in the Zack Snyder cut, and it's like, I don't know what Warner Brothers was thinking when they did this, because I know Zack had to leave because of his daughter passing and stuff like that.
Yeah. A popular take for the DCEU from a lot of the fans is that really what Warner Brothers needs is to take the writers and the producers of all the animated shows for DC, which all of them have been practically fired, and put them in charge of making the live action movies. They know these characters. They know how to tell these stories.
But I don't know if it'll work though. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that.
You never know.
Justice League. Justice League. Yes, we're talking about Justice League.
They did such a better job, especially towards the end, of making it feel like everybody that was there needed to be there.
Yeah.
Everyone effectively had a job to do and a function that couldn't just have been filled in. And that was the thing that I walked away with the most. And while I feel like the writing for the characters was a lot better, the overarching plot, though, let's be honest, it wasn't that good. There were a lot of holes, and all the goodwill can look past several of them.
Yeah, I mean, let's say if you don't know the DC universe, you're not going to understand some of these things, like the anti-life equation. Iris West character. You're not going to know who. Like, if I was a person not into DC and I was watching that scene, it was like, so who's this woman right here that Barry's saving and kind of googly eyeing? But yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it was we can all agree this was better than what we got in 2017.
So much better. Total lizard brain. So many really cool moments that I just like. I'll probably be hard pressed to watch the entire thing all over again, but I will fast forward. It's my favorite parts, at least for like the next 2 weeks.
How many times did I watch this movie now? 5 times. I watched it 4 times, the regular version, and then apparently the Justice is Gray version came out today, so I watched it. I watched it like that, and I can tell you that movie is a lot darker in that version, and you don't need to watch
unnecessary.
It. Yeah, it's unnecessary. It's not like the black and white noir version of Logan.
If I were to give it a score, I think I'd give it a 7.5.
7.
It's fun. It's entertaining. I love how the comedy, while it's not Whedon comedy, it's not that goofy, like almost MCU type comedy. It had its own funny moments without having to turn everyone into a quipping clown.
Yeah.
And some of the visual design and the characterization, the revamp of the villain is great. It's just like the length. I'm sorry, there's a bunch that you can cut out of that. Like IGN even commented that 10% of the entire movie is slow-mo. That's a bit unnecessary. And the plot, like especially because it's a comic book movie and I'm that nerd, the plot is one of the most important things for me. Yeah. So I would give it like a 7.5, 8 at best.
We don't do 7.5, sir. It's 7 or 8.
Oh, you're gonna put it on me like that. Fine. You know what? I'll give it an 8.
You son of a bitch. I'm in.
How about you?
Man. I'll probably give it a 9. About to say, right. It's nowhere near perfect. Like I say, I don't like. It's a difference how I watch this compared to you watching it. You just went straight into the Zack Snyder cut. I watched the original, then watched the Zack Snyder cut before it came out. And yeah, so this was a whole lot better. Of course.
Some of us weren't high off of our asses when we saw the Justice League initially. Some of us remember the entire thing.
All I remember from the original.
I only had to see it once.
All I remember from the original when we went to go see it in theaters is when Flash was trying to run around Superman, and Superman did that look. He's like, "Oh, you trying to get past me?" But not trying to go into spoiler territory right now, but this movie was clearly a redemption from the original one. And I know how, like, I'm not saying I know Zack Snyder. I know him personally. I know how he makes his movies.
Of course not. But I got a bit of a commentary for that once we get into the spoilers.
Yeah. So I know Zack Snyder, how I noticed the trend in his movie. He loves the slow motion stuff. He loves those one like song cue things. You know which one I'm talking about. and I mean it worked. It works sometimes, but some of those are unnecessary. So that's one of my gripes with it, and some people were talking about how spotty the CG, the computer graphics were. For a movie,
I wasn't going to judge it on that.
Yeah, about to say, for a movie that wasn't, like big budget, for the Zack Snyder version, there was reshoots for this, but I'm not going to knock it off points for that. the length, I'm fine with the length. It's just when it gets started and it keeps rolling, the time flies by. It's not sitting there like, yo, I'm looking at my watch the whole time like, yo, when is this movie going to end? It's not. I didn't have that situation. If you just sit there and appreciate what it was, storytelling, yeah, the story, the story is not going to be as good as like the comics or anything like that, but for what it was, I enjoyed it.
Okay, all right. So from this point on, we're going to get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the Snyder Cut because you have a life, then go ahead and get out of here. Spend the weekend, cut in half, cut in fours, cut in six. That's the best way. And then come on back, find out what we think about our nitty gritty picks.
Yeah.
Okay, so past that little bit, getting to the movie and talking about spoilers. Like I said, there are a lot of moments in this movie that were just so visually spectacular. But I remember the most poignant complaint that I heard about the theatrical release of the Justice League was that it should have been renamed, or they should have changed the name to Waiting on Superman. Because once Superman showed up, he solved everyone's problems and he invalidated the necessity for anyone else to be there.
What a bitch.
Like, honestly. But no, and I was waiting to see if that criticism would still hold up. And when you get to the end, really, it does. Well, yeah, he kind of invalidates the villain. And I remember I was watching with my brother-in-law like the second time, and that was when he kind of checked out of the movie. Was once Superman came in and was just wrecking shit because he's too powerful in the DCEU. So powerful to the point where he just didn't have to struggle at all. But what was great about it was that even though he was that strong, it didn't matter. They lost. They fucked up. And even still, were it not for if the Justice League weren't there doing what they were doing, Superman would have still gotten there late, and the world would have been destroyed.
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, it all really came down to Flash and and Cyborg. If anything, the movie made Aquaman seem like the weak link.
Yeah, but yeah, I love the because I remember when I was watching it, I had somebody distracting me near the end. Because, like I said, when I was rewatching it, the original cut, I kind of dozed off. I was like, all right, this shit put me to sleep. I don't even remember the end. So when I was watching the Snyder cut, I'm like, man, I don't remember, Darkseid showing up at the end and, Barry reversing time to stop the mother boxes conjoining.
Yep, because none of that happened.
Yeah, because none of that happened in the original version. So it's like, holy shit, this is awesome. But the
great to include Darkseid. It's great to include Darkseid.
Now I know,
but the movie asks for so much suspension of disbelief. It's kind of like Tenet, where they literally tell the audience, "Don't try to make sense of this. It doesn't matter." It's like, okay, so these mother boxes, like they wake up just because Superman screams, like his death scream that goes around the world. It's like,
hey, it works.
Okay, but it elevates Superman to being like the chosen one, or like there was like it's a magical element to him or something. and then like no, the fight between what's his name,
Stefan Wolf,
the fight between Stefan Wolf and the Amazons was awesome, and then just retroactively made me more pissed off at Wonder Woman, the movie, because they were kicking some ass. They were handling their shit. They were competent. And then in Wonder Woman, they got wrecked by Nazis.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, man.
It's like, what? No. I loved Steppenwolf. Like, he didn't need to have a lot of character, but you could see that the majority, like just him having the motivation that what he wants to come home. But apparently he betrayed Darkseid and like he fucked something up or something, but it's never we never find out what that is. Like, you got to make up for your mistakes.
Yeah, Steppenwolf, to me, he's still not like a good villain for a movie per se, You know, he was just there, be like, "Hey, man, let me back in the house." You know, I'm about
That's
to, I'm about to get.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Lizard Brain. He was visually spectacular. He had much more presence, and he wasn't a shit. Like the original Stephen Wolf, he was just a shit. I loved his armor as it almost like breed with him, and like when he was pin cushioned with arrows and just like kind of like shrugs them off. I like it when the villains act like, even if they're dealing with guys that are beneath them, showing that they still actually have to deal with them rather than just like waving a hand and like dismissing them all.
Yeah.
So the Amazons being able to actually hold him for at least a few minutes was pretty fucking good.
It was worth it.
No, but how about like the redone origin story with Green Lantern and the gods, of which me being such a mythology buff, I'm sitting there like, okay, so that's Zeus, then we have Ares, and that's Artemis, and she's only here because later in the movie they use her arrow to signal to Wonder Woman about the incoming threat. It's like, but where are the rest of the gods? There's way more gods. This is some bad shit going down.
I'm not worried about no gods in this, man. We already killed. Wonder Woman got rid of Ares already, so at this point, you know.
Oh yeah, but Doomsday, Darkseid coming down, and him being the actual threat to the planet that all these armies had to like come together in order to take down. That was awesome. And then he gets messed up and gets the hell out of there.
Hey, Isaac.
And then apparently he forgets the planet that he lost.
Well, I'm gonna tell you now, John. He's gonna come up to whoever up there. Too bad Ares not still alive for this, but he's gonna be like, "You should have gone for the head."
I thought, like, I said that the moment Ares attacks him into the shoulder. It's like, see, you should have aimed for the head. I said the same thing when Steppenwolf first came down with his lightning axe on the Amazons. I was like, bring me those.
But yeah, I mean the one scene like kind of iffy about having is the nightmare scene at the end. With
that whole thing can just be cut out.
I mean, I know it can be like, I know some people love it. Yeah, it was cool, but for this story, for the like that, from what one of the guys at the comic book told me, that was supposed to be like a standalone movie. We were going to have the nightmare movie, like that's what I know.
Zack Snyder's already outlined his entire, what would have been his entire plan, and what Warner Brothers is trying to do right now. Because a lot of people are demanding that Snyder be put in charge of all of the DCEU future movies and such. But I actually agree with Warner Brothers in this instance, where what they're going to do is they're going to be focusing on broadening the multiverse, so they could have multiple different simultaneous Batman movies showing different kinds of Batmans or different Flashes and such. Which means eventually they could do a Crisis on Infinite Earths where they bring these guys back. Because that's one of the big comic book moments in DC Comics, is when the multiverse clashes.
Yeah.
So again, it almost feels like, again, they're trying to rush or like beat Marvel to the punch.
We gotta get these multiverse ideas out before Marvel does. Well, I'm like, see, that's another thing about this movie, is that, you know, they gave Flash a little bit more screen time, more development, that now I actually care about this supposedly Flashpoint movie. You know, I've watched the animated film, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool, you know. About saying going back in time to save his mom and then fucking up everything else, you know, him reversing time in Justice League when he went to go touch Cyborg. Did that fuck up anything else?
He said he had to break the rules. He knows he was supposed to do it. Other thing that could be cut: Martian Manhunter. Really? I'm sorry. Like, while watching the movie both times, I kind of felt like there was a little bit too much time spent on Lois. I felt like we could have lost a scene. But one of those scenes that we need to keep was her and Martha. Martha and
like they
Lois
that scene.
No. Martha and Lois had this great moment where, like, Martha's trying to convince her, you know, it's like, I know that you love my son. No one on this planet loved him more than you did, but you need to move on with your life. You need to continue living. You can't be dead with him effectively. And then it's completely undercut when it's revealed, what a twist, M. Night Shyamalan be proud, that wasn't Martha at all. That was the Martian Manhunter. And as a fan of the animated show, I love Jon Jones. But for one, they made the correct decision in the cartoon to never call him the Martian Manhunter because that's a terrible name. It just feels so out of left field. It's just cheesy. But also, we're supposed to believe that he cares about Lois as if she's the chosen one, which in the nightmare scenario, apparently she is. But also, where the fuck was he? Because by teasing that he's there and he's been there for this entire time, and then he shows up after the fact, it's like, more shit's coming, and I want to help. It's like, why didn't you help the first time, motherfucker?
You got other things
there were Kryptonians coming down, but he was there since the beginning. We saw he was the black dude, the guy from the Matrix.
I'm like, the guy from the Matrix. I forgot he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. Yeah, so you could have cut him entirely. Nothing would have changed without him being in the movie.
Yeah. But,
the definition of cuttable material.
But one thing I want to mention is, how the hell I might have to make this a drinking game movie where every time Wonder Woman showed up on screen, they had that theme. They had that. I was going to actually put it in the sound clip, but that worked just fine. How many times any shot of her they had whatever that damn chant?
Hey. I loved her her first big scene in the movie and how they lengthened it out.
But I say now, because that was like when I was doing the review for it, and I was like, all right, let's do the compare and contrast stuff. That scene I rewatched on the original, and it was so cool. It was so colorful, and it was over in like 3 minutes. This one is a little darker, extended. You actually get to see her use like deflecting bullets and all that. And there was the one line in the original when I was watching it again, and it was so corny. And then
they cut a lot of corny.
Yeah. About to say, the villain says, "Who are you?" And she says, "I'm a believer," in the original cut. And I was like, that does not make sense at all. And then in this one, they was like, and in this one, the villain says, "I don't believe it," and she's like, "Believe it." Ching. Which I was like, okay, it makes more sense in this one. But they did cut out most of the comedy out of it, which I don't mind. Flash landing on top of Wonder Woman, didn't really care for that. The one joke that I'm mad that they didn't keep is the Pet Cemetery joke.
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, let me refresh your memory because it's still fresh in my mind. When they were first talking about bringing Superman back, and it was like, we want him back in a good way, not in a Pet Cemetery way, right? And then there's the scene where they're all sitting on this by the memorial of Superman, and he's like, "Oh shit, he's back," and he's about to attack him. They cut to the bear, and he's like, "Pet Cemetery."
With Wonder Woman, though, I really love that scene, but it reiterates something again, where there's seemingly a lack of consistency oftentimes with these DCEU movies, with how fast she was moving to deflect those bullets, how powerful she was, just how easily she was flinging around guys. For me, it just always bothered me that Wonder Woman could go that fast when she's by herself, but then whenever she's fighting with the team, suddenly she's much slower and nowhere near as strong as she normally is.
Oh, whatever, man. Whatever. I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that.
Hold on. Why, as another callback thing, is something I couldn't get on my head when I was watching it. I couldn't help but think of Hela from Thor Ragnarok. It's like, "I'm the goddess of death. What are you the god of again?" Then cut to Wonder Woman. It's like, I make it clap.
But no, she was fast in the final fight in the Snyder cut. Because she didn't use it as much. She only used it to save Aquaman when the pieces of the building, the rocks were falling down. She did that little.
No, and then if Steppenwolf hadn't blown up the wall and released like the like Gotham Harbor into like that tunnel that they were in that fight. Would Aquaman have not joined up with the crew? It's like perfect. Thank goodness somebody broke a hole in here. I can get inside.
But yeah, there's not much I want to say about it. I mean, it is what it is. I like I said, I enjoyed it and giving it a 9. Can I get some more? Can I get some more Justice League? Maybe not.
Probably not this Justice League. No.
But yeah, so on that note, the other day you were talking about Zack Snyder movies and how they were not all that great. You know, we got Justice League, Batman vs Superman,
Man of Steel, and 300. Those are the
Man of Steel, 300, Watchmen. There's one more movie that is credited to him, and I've totally forgot about it. It's one movie when you used to work at the movie theater that came out, and I saw it like multiple times.
Yes.
Dawn of the Dead. Don't even front. You know that movie was fucking good. Don't even front.
Yeah, sure. But we were talking strictly about his comic book movies.
Yeah, man, it's a movie. He's
talking about how he was handling the DCEU, because no one can say he didn't. It wasn't his vision for Man of Steel or Batman v Superman. And I'm sorry, while again there are things from those movies that were really cool to see on screen, there was a lot of stupid shit in those movies too.
Yeah, and he directed Sucker Punch.
He was the orchestrator of the whole. Why'd you say that name? The Martha debacle. Like that was nice.
That's all Batman had to say at the scene where he came back to life and he was shooting him with the I-beam laser. You know, it was like Martha, make him break his trance.
Like it's the safe word for BDS party or something.
Yeah.
But till then, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like, comment, subscribe. What did you think about the Snyder Cut? Do you think that they could have cut out that damn song? I'm sorry. Like the whole you know what I'm talking about.
Aquaman. The new fragrance from Atlantis. Aquaman.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you all next time. Peace.
Deuces.